Hey, gang, there's a lot of people out there who are going to tell you that your fun is wrong. They're going to tell you that the games that you think you like actually suck. And you know what? Today, I'm going to join them. Because today, I'm here to roast your favorite tabletop games, lose friends, and alienate people. That's how YouTube works, right? Greetings, goblins, and welcome to Elder Goblin Games, the Universalist TTRPG channel where the DCs are made up and the stats don't matter. That's right, just like your favorite RPG, they're doomed to live in vague obscurity. Today, I'm going to roast every tabletop game I can think of, or at least some of my favorite more obscure ones. You heard me right. Just like casting a fireball in a 20 by 20 room, I didn't ask how big it was. I'm burning everyone indiscriminately, including myself. So I don't care what your favorite game is. If I've heard of it, if it's even semi popular, it better start rolling will save for this vicious mockery. But as always, let's give a disclaimer first. I love all of these games for different reasons, so if any of them pique your interest even in the slightest, I encourage you to go check them out. This is all for fun and games, and I'm not being serious at all. So ready your gift of gab spells, because these burns deal psychic damage in all directions. So of course, what good would a TTRPG roast be without first taking a stroll through the edition wars to start things off? You better get those scrolls of Cure Light Wounds ready, OSR players, because I'm coming for you with a +2 one-handed broadsword. Whether you call it OD&D, Holmes Basic, BX, or Beckme, if your ye old eyes can read this chart, then you've been playing the game since before it had a functional layout. I mean, boy, does this Jerry Gorgax guy like to ramble. Just look at this text from Tasajkanth. Sojkanth? More like, this dude Saj can't make a point without using 500 characters, am I right? I mean, just look at this. Right here, he basically gives the Game Master equivalent of get good, scrub. I mean, just imagine getting your first home computer back in the 80s and thinking, this is it. Computers have peaked. And that's basically 1E players. All right, I got a lot of ground to cover. So now that I've pissed off half of the OSR, let's move on to second edition so I can piss off the other half. Second edition. Hey, here's a game where I don't have to smash 3 other games together to make it functional. Yay, small victories. Oh, and look, they created so many great settings that they basically fractured their player base into oblivion. I know what you're thinking, 5e players, but that didn't happen to you because these are not actual setting books. I don't know what they are. Oh, yeah, and what the frell is this? Juggling? Ventriloquism? When are these ever going to come into play? What are we doing here?
JJ, what am I doing here?
Moving right along, D&D 3rd Edition, or as I like to call it, Character Simulator 2000. The game where you build 20 levels of character only to have your campaign die out before you reach level 6. And don't even get me started on prestige classes. I mean, sure, the game had plenty of options, but that just meant that you spent more time looking through textbooks of feats than actually playing the game. Oh, and while we're here, let's talk about 3.5, which I'm going to affectionately call Pathfinder, just to make everybody mad. Ah, and here you thought, he's wearing a Pathfinder shirt. We're safe. And no, while I don't necessarily dislike your game, I do dislike the culture it encourages. There are just so many rules for every corner case scenario that rules lawyers naturally gravitate to your bloat like wizards to bat guano. And in my experience, Pathfinder players care more about being right than having fun. All right, moving on to D&D 4th edition. Nobody likes you, except maybe Matt Colville. That's it. I don't really have anything else to say. Well, okay, there's this. The real critique is that the developers spent so much time trying to make the game balance that they sterilized all the fun out of it. And don't even get me started about high level combat. It is nigh unplayable. Moving right along to 5th edition D&D. How to critique the Kleenex of role-playing games and lose as many followers as possible at the same time. D&D 5e, the world's most popular combat simulator. What do the rules of the game actually cover? Monsters, murder, and loot, and ways to do monster, murder, loot better. Seriously though, everyone loves to talk about the social side of this game. I'm like, where's it at? Show it to me. This paragraph? or how flexible the character creation is. Meanwhile, Cypher System's over here crying in adjective-based character statements, while 5e players pigeonhole their character concepts into outdated classes and races and call it versatile. Okay, that one I had in the barrel for a while. But seriously, show me anywhere in the original 5e books where there are things not about murder that are longer than 3 paragraphs, and I'll buy you a copy of Cairn. I won't actually do that. Don't quote me on it. Okay, well, this is taking longer than reading the 3rd edition grappling rules. So let's move on to a lightning round. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu, where the most immediate threat to your character is not being able to afford a decent therapist. Blades in the Dark. Oceans 11, 12, 13, and for some reason 8 called, and they want their vibes back. Muriborgi. Morkaborg. Muriborg. Murkyborg. Too Swedish, can't pronounce the name. Vampire the Masquerade. Too goth. Traveler. I never survived character creation. Shadowdark. Not OSR enough for the grognards, not NSE enough for the hipsters. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Ah, so you took the D100 system and somehow made it crunchier than 5.5 is going to be. I'm looking at you, roll to hit helmets. Now that probably half of you have left, let's move on to some more obscure games. Mouse Ritter. Too small. Fate. Do your players constantly derail your game to start living their own cooking mama bakery fantasy simulation? Then this game is perfect for them. RuneQuest. I'd like a little less lore in my rules and a little less rules in my lore. If I wanted to be an anthropologist, I would have tried harder in college. We named the dog Indy.
We named the dog Indiana.
Star Wars. If you can find the old West End Games version from 1987, just play that. You'll thank me later. The One Ring. If I have to play another Lord of the Rings game where I'm the bumbling sidekick while the real Skywalkers run around saving the world, I'm gonna punch a hobbit in his hairy feet. Burning Wheel. Ah, the awesome role-playing focused game where shooting an arrow feels like opening an Excel spreadsheet. Let's just lump all these together. Powered by the Apocalypse. PBTA. It is a game. Everything doesn't need to be a move. Sometimes we can just role play without looking up how we should be role playing. Hackmaster. Ah, yes, the feng shui of combat games. I guess if you like feng shui, that's really not an insult. Ah, my leg, I just moved for the first time in like 10 minutes. Okay, that hurt. OSC, the can I copy your homework? Yeah, but change it a little bit meme of TTRPGs. Savage Worlds. With combats like this, might as well coin flip. Starfinder. See Pathfinder, only now with spaceship combat. Dungeon Crawl Classics. That's so random. Mazes. Too hip. Shadow of the Demon Lord. Too edgelord. D20 system slash D20 modern. Derivative. Basic roleplay slash fantasy age. Too basic. Get out of here, pumpkin spice latte of role playing games. Actually, I like pumpkin spice lattes, but MCDM, I don't even know how to critique this one. Every time I look at it, it changes. Daggerheart, that's a lot of crunch for a bunch of theater kids. I I was a theater kid, so Ironsworn, too solo. I know it's not all solo. Shadowrun, more like Shadow run from all this crunch. That is way, way too much crunch. Plus, the game feels like an episode of Cutthroat Kitchen where each developer made a different course of the meal and then tried to cobble it all together at the end. Talk about the turducken of role playing games. Crown and Skull. Come on, where's my HP bar, bro? Do you even lift? Not if you didn't take the muscle skill. Last but not least, GURPS. The DIY of tabletop role playing games. Sure, you can play it in any setting as long as you write that entire setting from scratch. To me, running GURPS kind of feels like going to one of those restaurants where you assemble your own food, cook it, and then clean up after yourself. Like, what am I paying you for? I could have done this at home. And I think that's all the games I can think of. Yeah, nothing else comes to mind. All right, now that I've offended everyone in the hobby, why don't you like and subscribe? That way I can make more videos like this and fill your feeds with something other than the big two RPGs. Something informative, entertaining, or, just something with some Goram variety that isn't about an impending rules refresh that's trying to flood YouTube so hard that all other content gets buried. Hi, Wizards of the Coast. We see you. Hey, if you stuck around this long, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. But seriously, you guys are great. I have some awesome commenters that bring new games to my attention and a lot of enthusiasm to the games that we talk about here. I really love boosting these smaller games that people haven't heard as much about, and I think it's really important to the hobby right now. So leave a like, tell me how I'm wrong and how Pathfinder is your favorite game. Thanks for watching, and as always, make mistakes, choose chaos, and your fun is wrong. I have scoured to the heart of the archives deep and traveled to the top of the cinder cloud peaks and forded the everplains for the answers I seek. So beware of the realms where you meddle, for the fates can be fickle when the dice settle.